Welcome to Repertoire Wednesday with my dad, Dr. Joel Tranquilla.
Thanks, Everett. Today we're going to take a look at Set Me as a Seal Upon Your Heart. And I'm joined by the composer, David Squires, to discuss the music. Thanks for joining me today, Dave.
Great to be here, Joel.
So this piece, it didn't start out as a choral work, as I understand. Can you tell us a bit about why you wrote it originally?
It was 2002. My eldest daughter was being married. My second daughter was a singer as well. And so I wrote it for my second daughter, Diana, to sing for her older sister, Kirsten, at the wedding. And so it was written as a solo soprano piece.
So when you take a piece like this that existed as a solo vocal work and then you set it for choir, what are some of the other considerations other than kind of finding the right key that will make it, fit in the sweet spot of various parts?
Yeah, that's one of the big ones. And so I wrote it originally in the key of B major, and so I changed things to D major because that just made for a better climax chorally and didn't pitch it too low for sopranos. And that leads me actually to the second big consideration, which is it going to be soprano led all the way through and homophonic texture? And the answer to that one in this piece is largely yes. There's just a couple of spots where I reduce the forces of the choir, but then another consideration, of course, is now I'm going to fill out the harmonies, and with an accompaniment which changes harmony sometimes underneath a solo soprano note in a solo voice. Now you have a whole choral texture, sustaining chords, and so it does make for some interesting rethinking in terms of harmonic work and that sort of thing.
The text, which comes from Song of Songs, it's a familiar biblical passage that's recited at a lot of weddings. So we've heard a lot of settings of this particular text. I think what sets this piece apart, Dave, is that it is so singable. Like, you talk about it being soprano driven, which it is. The melody oftentimes is in that upper voice. But one of the most beautiful moments is the duet with the tenor, where there's sort of this very symbolically this equality of parts there. The culmination of the next phrase, and maybe one of the peaks of the whole piece, comes in measure 37-38, where you have all of the choir there. And I can imagine this being very beautiful for just voice, and I know I'm biased, but I think it's the choral texture here that really allows that moment to really come
Yes,
across.
it does.
The Trinity Western University Chamber Choir has had the privilege of performing many of your works, Dave, and I love your music.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This piece, Set Me as a Seal Upon Your Heart, was on our program that we took to Japan and Taiwan a couple years ago. So, like you do on a choir tour, you've got many performances of the same program, but a different piano, a different acoustic, and this was a piece that really just sort of grew and grew, I think, as the tour went on. But I think it's the way that the choral texture is just so beautiful for the audience and so enjoyable to sing that made this like the perfect piece to take on tour, because you're at a workshop first thing in the morning and the students are maybe a little bit on the groggy side, but you warm them up and you get them singing this and they're right back into it, and it's just one of those pieces that really was such a great vehicle for them. My favorite moment maybe comes at measure 39, and this is where the piano part sort of shifts into this 6/8 3/4 kind of figure, and it's then echoed by the choir at Many Waters Cannot Quench Love. And talk to us a little bit about the way you evoke that sort of waterscape in that passage.
Yeah, I'm very drawn to symbol and metaphor and symbolic language, and I want to tell a story in my music. So the language of Song of Psalms all the way through is so it's sensual, and there's an awful lot of water, a lot of liquid, a lot of that, and which adds to the sensuality, I think, because it's speaking of love and the love relationship. And so the idea that many waters cannot quench love. love. It's like this flood that could come down over those who are in love, and yet they stand firm. And so I love that symbolism. I chose to put the rippling effect into the piano as well. I like the that hemiola effect, 6/8-3/4, and as you mentioned, it's in a number of places in my music. I think it works well when it's more fluid. And then it really helps the listener to get a sense of fluidity. And so that's in the voice, but then also this rippling in the piano, I think, can enhance the kind of thing that you're talking about.
There are lots of moments in this piece that will require the choir's attention and some technical demands. I think one of the biggest things with a piece like this that is so homorhythmic, for the most part, all the way through, is just making sure that there's wonderful ensemble between the parts. So you have to be obviously thinking melodically and singing horizontally, but also really observing the score in a vertical fashion so that you can be lining up well. One thing I would point out to the conductor and to the singers is to be really careful that the singers don't bump the opening vocal line that starts right on the end of one after an eighth rest. Finding a way that allows the singers to breathe in advance of that eighth rest so that it's not a sense of syncopation or accent, but rather just this sort of seamless continuation of what's come before it in the piano line. Set Me as a Seal Upon Your Heart is available through the composer's website, www.davidsquires.ca, and you can check out more of his great choral music on his YouTube channel. Many thanks to Dave Squires for joining me today. That's all for now. See you next Wednesday for more great Canadian repertoire.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.